told, you know, you're a legend, you're a spokesman for your times, you know, you have to be very careful. The answer to that is, well, not really. Because I can't afford to look at myself that way. I will lose touch with reality very quickly.
He's a two-time inductee into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for his work with the Byrds and Crosby, Stills and Nash. He was a hellraiser, fond of drugs and guns, who spent time in prison for possession of both. He's written 2 memoirs, lived through a liver transplant, and most recently, the placement of a stent in his heart. We caught up with David Crosby in Fort Wayne, Indiana, on tour with Graham Nash and Stephen Stills, shortly after he had that surgery.
David, I wanted to start by asking you about your health, because how recently was it from the time that you and I are sitting here that you had your heart issue? It's been weeks,
it was only a couple of weeks. But heart nowadays is different than it used to be. They used to have to crack your chest and go in, and big recovery time and all that. Now they go in your femoral artery and they go up to your heart, and they look with a little tiny camera and they say, oh, that's blocked. And they go, open it up, and then they stick a little piece of macaroni in there, and boink, all of a sudden you have great blood flow. And then they come back out, you know, a couple of stitches, and you're out the next day.
But you were back out at it quite
right away.
Soon after that.
Yeah,
and
that's how heart surgery is most of the time, unless they have to work on a valve.
Yeah.
Or something more serious than just opening up a blocked artery. Blocked arteries anywhere between your knees and your brain. They do brain surgery from here, from going up to your brain. They do brain surgery.
Did you feel anything before? Like, were you feeling poorly, or was this just something you felt okay?
No, I felt okay. Yeah. I felt, you know, I mean, I felt a little older than I'd like to be, and slightly decrepit, but pretty good.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about your experience with the liver transplant, because in your second memoir you talk a lot about it, and I think it's really interesting. And I know it's something that's close to your heart, that the donor registry.
Well, your liver is very close to your heart.
There's that too. But you, at the time, you really got beaten up in a lot of the press because it was suggested that you had jumped the queue and all this crap.
Yeah, it was a new thing that was only just then attracting attention, and there had been this baseball player, who shall remain nameless, who had gotten one who shouldn't have gotten one. Yeah. So the whole process was called into question. And I, being, somebody that was well known, they thought I had worked the system somehow to get ahead in the line, which you cannot do. Yeah. It is one of the most carefully supervised situations in the world. The people who do it are rigorous. That baseball player, who was much more famous than I will ever be, got that transplant and caused that hoo-ha, was unfortunate, but it was really the exception that proves the rule. They do not, repeat, do not mess with the list. You're on it if you're on it, you're off it if you're off it. If you're not sober, they will not put you on it. I'd been sober 9 years when they put me on it, and they do not advance or anything else. They don't.
Well, there's actually like
they don't mess with
a test, essentially, right? That MELD, what's it stand for? The LD is for liver disease. I can't remember it's the model for something liver disease that you were high on. I think you wrote that it was the only test you ever passed that high.
Yeah, that's probably true. I'll use that line. When I went in, when they gave me the news, when the doctor, who is now my dear friend, who was also turned out was my neighbor, gave me the news and said, you are dying of hepatitis C, and your liver is failing. It's down to about 30%. I was already, when UCLA confirmed what Johns Hopkins had said, that I was at that stage, end stage, they didn't even send me home. They just put me in a room and started taking care of me, because my systems were failing all over the place. Yeah. It's kind of a science fiction thing that they're able to do the kinds of things that they're able to do, but the fact is, here I am. I feel good, and I work very hard at trying to eat right, do right, no hard drugs, no liquor, no it's It's worked for me. I'm able to function very well.
You're a very good buddy, and we met him last year, and he was on this program. Graham Nash, stand-up guy, been with you through a lot of stuff, still is. And he was the last guy that talked to you before you got wheeled in for the liver transplant.
No, well, the last person that talked to me, he was the last guy.
Yeah.
The last person to talk to me was my wife, Jan.
And you wrote about him making some crack to you as he walked
He
out the
did.
door.
He said, if you leave me with stills, if you die and leave me with stills, I'll do something bad, you know. And he was just kidding. He was trying to bring my spirits up. You know, we both love Stephen. We understand him.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, let me ask you about this record that you've got out now. Because
Now we're talking.
Now we're talking. Okay. I read an interview you did with the Guardian newspaper, a phone interview you did with the Guardian newspaper not long ago about this thing. And the guy said something, asked you if you'd been dipping into the Scrabble box because you were using phrases like cognitive dissonance and things like that in the songs, which I thought was an intriguing thing to ask you. How long has this one been in the works for you?
Well, this record?
Yeah.
A very long time. The words thing is just that I love words and I read constantly. Always have. This record, you know, we didn't set out to make a record. What happens is it's all about the songs. So you write a song and then you sing it to people that you think, you know, are good judges of stuff, and you say, what do you think? And, you know, if they love it, then if you make them feel something, open a door for them, take them on a voyage, do any of the things that songs could do, communicate an idea, then they'll say, oh, yeah, wow, Croz, you haven't lost your lick. That's pretty good. And if you get that kind of response, then you want to work on the song. And to us, it's all about the songs and serving those songs. You don't start out saying, okay, we need to make a record, we need to start on June 14th, you better get writing quick. We don't do that.
Yeah.
We make the record when we have the songs. So you just write songs.
So you've been writing for a while on the stuff that ended up on this. Yeah.
And I've been writing with my son James.
Yes.
And a little with a friend of ours named Marcus Eaton, but mostly with my son James, who's a brilliant writer, much better musician than I am.
Tell me about that, because I think that's intriguing. What's that relationship like when you're writing? How does it work?
It's fantastic.
Yeah?
Start with, he's a much better musician than I am.
Right.
He's also a very good lyricist. He's also very close with me. We have a very, very good communication. You know, I have that with both of my sons. The other one's around here somewhere.
Yeah. He's hiding back there somewhere.
Yeah, well, I don't know why I'm as lucky as I am, but I have very good communication with both of them. And we wrote, I think it was Radio was the first one that we wrote for this record. And we liked it. You know, that says stuff we believe in, and I like how it goes musically. He'd written really good music for it. And so we said, oh, well, you know, we're probably making a record. But we didn't have any money. And we didn't want to go to a record company for the money because they charge you know, like 498% interest. And so we did it. You know, my son James has a studio in his garage, and we did it there. Now, when we had to do a big tracking date, which came out of the grocery money, we would go to Jackson Brown's studio, which is my favorite studio in Los Angeles, and a lot of people's favorite studio. A lot of people were there. Dylan was just working there.
A lot of tubes and stuff in that studio. It's an old style studio, is it not?
Oh, old style
an analog studio.
You can be analog or digital. They have everything. Yeah. And they have a great collection of microphones, but more. It's only the one room, and the people who run it know exactly what they're doing. They're top-notch people. Everything is maintained at the highest possible level. And the room is a sweet room. It has a sweet spot for drums where you get a great sound. It's just a great room. Anyway, so we worked piecemeal as we went along over a period of probably 2.5 years. Whenever I could, I would come down, and he has a fold-out couch in the studio, and I would sleep on that, and he'd make me an omelet in the morning, and we'd go to work. And it took a long time, and we were writing the whole time as we went along. Each time we would come up with a song, then we'd start working on that song. Eventually, we had, you know, enough songs for a record and a bit more, and we picked the record and worked on polishing out those ones. And what you see is what you get. My other son, Django, took that cover picture.
Okay. Good picture. Nice picture.
Yeah, it's a nice picture.
It is.
If you look about 15 years
I was
younger
going to say,
than
you
I
look
am,
very healthy
really
and
like
brown
that.
and burnished. And,
Yeah, and that kind of looking off into the... You know where I got that? All those statues of Lenin in Russia, you know, where he's looking off into the great communist future, you know, those noble ones, you know. I copied that.
You have, Knopfler, Mark Knopfler does a guitar solo in one of the songs. Wynton Marsalis is on one of the songs. And I've read you saying that you certainly didn't know Mark Knopfler. You just asked him, right?
Yeah.
You just send him an email or something and say,
well,
can I
you know
sing
how
it
it
too?
works with us singing on other people's stuff, which we do a lot, which we've done for a number of our friends, or them playing on my record. It's, if they are inclined, you send them the song. And it's, again, about serving the song.
Right.
If you don't have a real song, you're out of luck. Because Mark Knopfler knows what a real song is. And he heard a real song, and he said, oh, I could help that out. I know exactly what to do with that. Because he does. Wynton Marsalis is a friend, but the same thing goes. You send him the song. You don't say, you know, you just say, can I send
no
you...
suggestions, just
can
here
I send
it is.
you a song?
Yeah, okay.
That's all you say.
Okay.
And they know what you mean.
Okay.
And they listen to the song, and if they like the song, then they message you back, you know, saying, that's a pretty good song. I think I could help that. I think I could do that. I know what to do.
Were you on tenterhooks a little bit, though, that maybe you wouldn't hear back from them at all?
Yeah.
Did that worry you?
Sure.
Still?
Because if it isn't a good enough song, they won't do
Well,
it.
yeah,
and they'll say something nice like, I'm really busy right now. Maybe we could, you know, like talk later, or, you know, they'll be polite, but...
Yeah.
And we do the same thing. You know, people ask me in Nash to do it all the time. When David Gilmour asks you, you assume that it's going to be good music. But a lot of people, other people have asked us. You know, when Joe Walsh asked us, we assumed it was going to be good music. When you know, Don Felder asked us, we assume it's going to be good music. When, you know, anybody, Carole King, you know, Elton, I mean, we've sung with just about everybody.
Yeah. I got to ask about your writing. Can you remember how far back it was when you started writing? Were you really young when you started writing?
I started right around the time that I was learning the craft, you know, watching other folk singers. And I started out as a folk singer in coffee houses, and I watched other people, particularly a guy named Travis Edmondson, who used to be in a thing called Bud and Travis.
Okay.
Very, very bright guy, very good. And then I started listening to other people, Bob Gibson. The first records that I had were folk music. They were the Weavers and Josh White and Odetta. So I knew what it was, and I kind of loved the idea of getting up there with a guitar and singing it. It really felt right to me.
Yeah.
So, you know, I would watch how other people did it. And I was, you know, I think still in my teens. If I was 20, I'd be surprised.
And did writing come easy to you?
Well, they weren't really good at first.
Well, of course, but I mean, but for some people it does.
It came naturally.
A facility, yeah.
Yeah, I knew that I wanted to do that.
Yeah. And vocally? You have a good voice.
I started singing when I was about 6.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
And I started right away singing harmonies. It just came.
And that's I've always been intrigued by that because it just comes for some people and it doesn't come at all for other people. And you just had it.
I did.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that works, but I knew Graham and I both have had it all our lives, and we're just naturals at it.
Yeah. I remember you had said at one point. I remember reading you saying at one point the first time you heard Graham.
I said, "Oh, there's
harmony.
one.
Yeah.
There's one. I know that. That guy, whoever he is, he knows what he's doing."
Yeah.
I could hear him.
The lyrics that you've written over the years, and I have to tell you this kind of as a little aside here because it was always something funny. My late wife used to just grind on me whenever I played, but one of my favorite Byrds songs that I would play to her annoyance all the time was Mine Gardens. And she'd say, "What are you listening to that for?" And I said, "I don't know, there's something about it I like." That was you, right? That was all you.
Me, and that was
all you.
Entirely weird. And even the other guys in the Byrds, who were pretty adventuresome souls, thought I had completely started skidding in the turns, and you know, that was like out there. But you know, they were pretty willing. Roger and Chris in particular were very into stretching the envelope. If I could come with an idea that had some validity to it, you know, even if it was odd, they were willing to try it, and that was great of them. You know, that was one of the things I loved most about working with them.
Yeah.
Was that they were willing to let me experiment and do stuff that hadn't been done, and that's good. Stretching the envelope is good.
Yeah.
I mean, we stretched it from the get-go, taking good poetry and putting it on AM radio, on hit radio, in a hit. That was the first time anybody did that. Yeah. That's stretching the envelope.
Do you, I mean, as time has gone on, of course, and this happens to everybody who becomes an iconic figure in whatever the discipline is that they're in. After a while, people begin to see you as, you know, a spokesperson or a, you know, whatever, you know, an icon reflecting a certain state of mind, a certain generation, or all of those things. Do you bridle under those appellations at all when people
a little
say
bit,
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Nicely put.
Because you're being pigeonholed into something, right?
You've been fooling around with the words yourself.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. Word guys. Yeah, when you were told, you know, you're a legend, you're a spokesman for your times, you know, you have to be very careful. The answer to that is, well, not really. Because I can't afford to look at myself that way. I will lose touch with reality very quickly. I know what a bozo I really am. I know I put my pants on one leg at a time, same as you. And I need to hold on to that. I can't look at myself the way the fans do. I can't look at myself the way the press does. I can't look at myself the way even a good investigative journalist who's familiar with music and knows, you know, has some context. I can't look at myself the way any of those people do.
Because it would affect everything you do.
It's not healthy.
Yeah.
The healthiest way for me to look at it is, I'm an egg. I know nothing. What do you know? Can I learn from you? That's the smartest approach to life there is. I want to know what you know. Tell me. Is there something I can learn here? Oh, yeah. Smart person. Somebody comes out to you like that, you got a smart one.
Yeah. You know, a little while ago, we had Bill Lee, the spaceman. We spent a day with him, did a thing for this show, and I asked him a question that occurred to me afterwards. It's probably one that I should ask you, which was, because you had this sort of same, or you had at least this sort of same reputation at one point. I asked him when he became a mouthy bugger.
A what?
A mouthy bugger. A mouthy bugger. When he started to mouth off. Yeah,
mouthy bugger.
A mouthy bugger.
Yeah.
When he started mouthing off to you. When he started saying things because he didn't care what anybody else thought. And you always struck me as somebody who was like that as well.
Who was like that? Yes.
Yeah.
I have that. I have the privilege of being, yes, sort of like that. Yes. I studied a little bit on how to deal with the press and deal with stuff by watching other people do it. Yeah. I watched Dylan do it, and I watched the Beatles do it. I went to press conferences with both of them and sat in the back and kind of just paid attention to how they dealt with it. And I liked how the Beatles did it better than I liked how Bob did it, because Bob would get pissed if you were really drastically stupid and asked him, what's your favorite color? Do you date blondes? Bob would look at you like you were just stupider than mud, and he would get pissed. Well, that's not useful. The Beatles would make fun of you. That's useful. Yeah. And I thought they had a better grip on how to do it. But I am an opinionated guy, and I'm relatively fearless. And well, that's not true. I'm scared of dying. Everybody is, but not of people. There's nobody that really frightens me. And so when I would get in a situation where somebody would, try to be confrontational, I'd dice them up and use them for salad.
Yeah. You have said about this album that you wrote these songs for yourself.
Initially, you do. You want them to communicate to other human beings, because that's what songs are for. To either just make them boogie, which Stephen can do brilliantly, or transmit an idea, which Nash does brilliantly, writing anthems that the whole world wants to sing, teach your children, Or you can take them on a voyage, you know, someplace they haven't been, which is what I like to do. And yeah.
I'm going to quote one of your lines from one of your songs here, okay?
Okay.
People do so many things that make me mad, but angry isn't how I want to spend the time I have.
Yeah. Very serious business.
Yeah. I mean, certainly, I mean, a line like that coming from somebody like you who has been through the brushes with death that you've been through makes a whole lot of sense.
Well, also, who wasted a lot of time being angry.
Yeah.
Angry's not really useful. Didn't get you much, except enemies. Angry, when you get angry and the adrenaline hits your system, your brain goes right out the window. Your ability to think rationally goes right out the window. Anybody who teaches fighting will tell you, look, if you're going to get angry, forget it. The adrenaline, you feel like it's going to give you a lot, but it doesn't. The truth is, anger isn't useful. And I don't want to spend my time that way. I have a certain amount of time on this planet, which you don't realize at first. You think you're going to live forever and you're bulletproof.
Yeah.
But I know that I'm not. And the time that I do have, I don't want to waste it being sad. I don't want to waste it being angry. I don't want to waste it being even pissed off. I don't have time.
Yeah.
I've got stuff I need to accomplish. I got songs to write and people to talk to, and most especially things to learn. I got a whole, God, man, they don't give us enough time. We need about 200 years because you don't really start to get smart until you're 50 anyway. And
even then.
And even then, you know, some of the blood starts to go back to your brain then. We won't explain that. But, you know, I've got like 5, 6 major scientific disciplines I want to learn. Astrophysics, physics, nuclear physics. I could study history for another 100 years and be really happy. I love history. I am fascinated by human beings.
Are you still political? Do you still consider yourself a political person?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, politics is what's going to happen to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you might want to pay attention. I'm political in the sense that I pay attention to the process. I am certainly not a Democrat, and I am most especially not a Republican. I am conservative about some things and progressive about other things. I do not trust politicians. I think in general they are pond scum, bottom feeders, ignorant, short-sighted, greedy, stupid, and shameless. Did I get them all?
I'm pretty sure you got them all.
No, I think there's some more. Let me work on it for a minute. I have, as you could readily deduce, a very low opinion of most politicians because they are self-serving idiots. There was 2 more. But I remain political in the sense that I love this country. And I intend to stay involved. I am not going to just roll over and put my paws in the air and say, okay, whatever you say, want another war, okay, fine. I'm not going to do it. I know war is a bad way to solve problems. I got a lot of opinions about, politics and how things should be done and how they shouldn't be done.
Yeah. I was intrigued because in your second memoir, which was before the 2008 presidential election, you were writing about there wasn't anybody out there to vote for, and the only guy that gave you any faint glimmer of hope was this young guy named Barack Obama. And you said he's young, he's too young, and he's half black, and that doesn't play well beneath the Mason-Dixon.
The truth is, he's brilliant. Okay, he's the smartest president we've had since probably Eisenhower, who was a very smart guy. Be cool if we remembered he won the Second World War for us, little things like that. Obama's a bright man. Now, I don't agree with everything he's done, but the Republicans, when they saw what they were dealing with, hey, we got one of them in the White House. What the hell are we going to do? Well, they said, okay, whatever you propose, it doesn't matter what it is. Don't even listen, just say no. Whatever it is, just say no. And then we'll come up with some reason why he's wrong and we're right. They've stuck to that because the party tells them all You either stick to the party line, or next time you go up for election, we'll be running somebody else against you, and you won't have the support of the party. So you preach the party line or else. And they've stuck to that, and okay. Remember when I said stupid and short-sighted and shameless and ignorant and okay.
Okay.
Well, that's hampered him drastically, but he's also made some mistakes that irritated the hell out of me. Sending more troops into Afghanistan. Brainless. You'd think he'd never read a history book, and I know he has. Let's see. Alexander the Great conquered most of Eurasia. Where did he fail? Let me think. Could it be Afghanistan? The Brits at the height of the Raj, when the sun never set on the British Empire. Where did they get their asses handed to them? Afghanistan.
And most recently,
Russia, when they ruled from Germany to the Pacific Ocean and the stands to the North Pole, went into Afghanistan and got their asses handed to them.
Okay, we're running short of time here, and I opened up a whole can of worms when I asked you this.
We were going to talk about music, weren't we?
Yes, we were, and we did. But let me ask you one last thing, then, okay? And it doesn't. Well, maybe
it's not about music. I'm going to really cheer you up here.
Really? Okay, because it wasn't going to be about music. Shit! Now I have to go up with a question about music.
No, you can ask me anything.
Do you vote?
Yes, I do.
You do.
I do.
And you make your decision at the last minute when you go in. You weigh the pros and cons, or you never vote Republican, and your options are.
You know, if they ran somebody that was good. Eisenhower was a good example. He was a very good man, and I would have voted for him. You know, running the kind of idiots, imbeciles. I mean, there's a bumper sticker I really love. Obama, you know, bringing complete sentences back to the White House. You know, they shoot themselves in the foot. They ran John McCain and what's her name? The idiot girl from Alaska.
You're talking about? Yes.
Yeah. Come on, that's shooting yourself in the foot. You know, until they smart up and stop letting the Tea Party idiots drag the rug out from underneath them, the conservatives in this country, the real ones, are not going to win. And they are taking so much money. Both parties are taking so much money from the big corporations that that's who's really running the country. This is a corporatocracy. It's no longer a democracy, and I vote even though I know that your vote and my vote do not count.
Well, certainly mine doesn't.
No.
I'm Canadian.
Well, you're lucky because, you know, that's what we tell people when we go to Europe. We say, oh, yeah, we're Canadian. We're a little maple leaf, eh? Yeah, because everybody likes Canadians, man. Everybody does.
Hope so.
Everybody in the world likes Canadians. Everybody doesn't like Americans because our government has been going out there trying to pretend that we're the bully policeman for the entire world, which is a load of...
I have to let you go because I know that they're champing the bit over there behind the cameras.
No.
You've got to do a sound check.
Yeah, no, they can wait. Ask me something about the music. Yay!
Thank you for doing this, David. I really appreciate it.
That's it, huh?
That's it, man. We're done.
Okay.
You got to shake my hand now.
Yes.